All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Rosalind Zacharias. I am the Employment Specialist here at Steps to Success. I'm back again with another workshop for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about interviewing skills to help you land a job. So before we get started, as always, I want to make sure you guys are aware of our contact information. You can check us out at www.lssjacks.org. Here's our location information and a number that you can reach us at if you want to know more about our Steps to Success program. You can call 904-730-8254. All right, let's get started. So a quick overview of what this presentation is going to go over is, or this workshop is going to go over, is we're going to talk about things you can do before an interview, during an interview, and after an interview. So starting with before an interview. So we're going to talk about some research you can do, some practice interviews, questions, and some behavioral interview questions and how to answer those. So with research, so you've booked an interview, you're super excited. Here's some things you can do research-wise to help you prepare for your interview. So we encourage you guys to do some research. You can look into the company that you're interviewing with, and you can do that by checking out their website, their mission statement, their values. Just get a better idea of the company that you're possibly going to work for. And another thing that you can do with research is to research the position that you're interviewing for. Look up the job description, look up your position, and look up the job description that goes with it for other companies. Kind of get a better idea of the position and the company in general. So research is always a really good way to get you prepared for that interview. And moving on to interview questions. So you should really practice your interview questions, your responses to the questions that you might get. It helps kind of get rid of those nerves a little bit if you think about your the possible answers before. And I wanted to provide you guys with some commonly asked interview questions. Again, these are just some general ones, but I wanted to give you guys some examples in case you want to practice these. Some questions are, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? What are your future career plans and where do you see yourself in 5 years? So with this one, it's kind of figuring out where in your timeline does that position fit in? Do they see you staying for a long time? So that really gives them an idea of that. What is your leadership style? What do you like to do outside of work? So again, these are just some questions, really basic questions to get to know you and to see if you're a good fit for the position and for the company. And moving on, I wanted to mention some behavioral interview questions. So with these, employers believe that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So they'll ask these questions to kind of figure out in different situations, what did you do, how did you act on them, to see if your actions are something that they look for in an employee, if they're interested in you as in the position. So some examples of behavioral interview questions are, describe a past situation where you encountered a problem and describe how you solved it. Tell me about a time you made a mistake and what did you do to correct it. Tell me about a goal you set and reached and how you achieved it. Can you share about a time you had to be flexible or adaptable? Tell me about your proudest moment in your professional career and why was it meaningful to you? And give me an example of a time you had to prioritize certain tasks or projects over others. So now that you have some examples of some behavioral interview questions, how do you answer them? So we like to answer these behavioral interview questions with a problem action results method. So with this method, so you start with a problem. So describe what happened, give them a little context, what was the situation, and what needs to be done. And then you're going to move into the action. So what did you do? And we want to make sure that you're being specific with this. Give them concrete examples of what you did to fix the problem. And then lastly, the results. Let them know what the results were. So what ended up happening, what were the end results, and what was accomplished. So keep in mind that the recruiters and employers are looking for this problem action results method answer when they're asking behavioral interview questions. So it's a really good idea to practice those questions. So moving on to during an interview. So here's a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be discussing with this. We're going to talk about dressing for an interview, what to bring to an interview, what to do when you arrive to an interview, how to participate in an interview, and questions to ask at the end of an interview. So starting with dressing for an interview. So I wanted to provide you guys with some kind of general dress guidelines. So with these, I talk about dressing clean, in clean, well-pressed clothes. Want to make sure we're not super wrinkly, make sure we're ironing our clothes that we're wearing to our interviews. We're wanting to conceal piercings and tattoos, especially until you find out if those things are okay in a company. We want to make sure we're hiding the piercings and the tattoos just for the interview process until you figure out if, when you get hired and you figure out if the company allows for it. And we're wanting to make sure we're wearing subtle fragrances only. We don't want to, employers or recruiters don't want to get like punched in the face with a really strong perfume or cologne. So make sure you're not wearing too much. Make sure that it's subtle. And for everyone all around, make sure that your nails are clean. So this is a big thing. Make sure that you look clean, that your nails look clean, that you don't want to see like super dirty fingernails, or even if you wear nail polish, we don't want to see super chipped nail polish either. So just make sure that those nails are nice and clean, polish is nice and fresh. So what to bring to an interview. So we're wanting to make sure that we're bringing several copies of your resume, especially if you know how many people are going to be in the interview. Bring a nice fresh copy of your resume for them. And this also comes to play if you're using job search engines like Indeed. I know in my experience that they have their own version of your resume, so they format it a little bit different. So it's good to bring your official copy with your formatting so they can see that. It might look a little bit cleaner than the one that, like, it might get formatted differently in different job search engines. You're going to bring a piece of paper and a pen with you in case you have to write something down. The interviewer wants you to write something down. It's always good to have some scratch paper with you. And a pre-written list of questions, especially if you have questions about the position. Have them pre-written. If you already have them figured out, have them written down. They may get answered during the interview, they may not, but they always give you a chance at the end to ask questions. So it's good to have them if you do have questions. A copy of the job description. So this is really great in case they're mentioning specifics of the job, that you have that to reference. And somewhere to neatly carry everything. So we don't want to see you guys jumbling around a bunch of items. We want to make sure that you look nice and clean and professional. So make sure you have a nice purse to carry everything in, maybe a folder to put your paper in and your resumes, just somewhere that you can gather all your stuff up and that it looks nice and neat. So next we're going to talk about what to do when you arrive for an interview. So we want to make sure we're arriving a little bit early, but not too early, especially because they schedule you for a specific time, so we don't want to arrive super early, so they might not be ready for you. So give yourself enough time, especially if it's a new location for you. If there's a possibility you can get lost or rerouted, give yourself enough time for that, but definitely not too early. Make note of the interviewer, so when you get there, you can ask for them directly. You can say, "Hi, my name is Rosie. I'm here for an interview with this person specifically." That way they know who to get. You don't have to be searching around, so you'll know what to do when you get there. And make sure that you're being nice and professional to everyone you see when you arrive. This is a big one because you don't know who the interviewers are going to ask you about, so they can go later and ask maybe the receptionist, the person at the front desk, and say, "Hey, how was your interaction with so-and-so?" And if you didn't have a good interaction with them, but maybe another candidate did that had similar experience to you, they might want to go with them instead. So just make sure that you're nice and professional to everyone you see when you arrive. So how to participate in an interview. So you want to make sure that when they're asking you questions, to avoid 1 or 2 word answers. You want to make sure you're being honest and giving complete answers. And we want to make sure you're emphasizing your skills and what you can offer to a company. So we don't want to hear super short answers, but definitely don't be talking. So make sure that you're answering the question that's given to you as completely as possible. And make sure you're giving concrete examples and quantify them when possible. Again, just like with your resume, they love to see numbers and they love to hear about numbers. So they want to hear you talk about your accomplishments and quantify them when you can. Talk about the numbers. Bring up numbers if you're able to. So questions to ask at the end of an interview. So this is that question that you get asked at every interview at the end. Do you have any questions for me? And this one's a really big one. Make sure that you at least have one question to ask the recruiter or an employer when you're doing an interview. At least one. It could be, it doesn't have to be these examples. It can just be another question that you figured out during your interview that you wanted to ask. But it shows initiative. It shows you're interested in the position and that it's important to you. It always comes off really well when you have a question to ask. So I wanted to give you guys a couple examples of questions you could ask. Again, these aren't the only questions you can ask, but I just wanted to give you guys maybe a place to start. So the questions are, what does a typical day look like? What are the most immediate projects that need to be addressed? Can you show me examples of projects I'd be working on? What attributes does someone need to have in order to be really successful in this position? And what are the biggest challenges that someone in this position would face? So again, these are just a couple examples for you guys that I wanted to give you. And now lastly, we're going to talk about after an interview. So this will be the follow-up. So we really recommend you sending a quick thank you note after an interview. This could really be the thing that sets you apart from other people that are interviewing for the same position, especially if you have similar skills to somebody and you guys have pretty much the same experience, but you send a thank you note and they don't. That could be the deciding factor. Like, this person's really interested. This person's really dedicated. They really want this position. So a thank you note's always a really good idea. A lot of the times people don't send thank you notes. But we always recommend that because it really is a thing that could set you apart. And things that you should include in that thank you note are going to be your name and your information. You're going to state your appreciation, thank them for the opportunity, for interviewing that, or for getting interviewed for the position. Let them know what you like about the role that you applied for, and make sure you're sounding enthusiastic about the possibility of working with that company. Again, this is just a suggestion for us, for you guys. It could be something that really has you stand out and really could be that one thing that sets you apart. So that is going to be the end of today's workshop. Again, my name is Rosalind Zacharias. I'm the employment specialist. If you have any questions today, make sure that you're commenting them down below, or feel free to private message us. Please press like on this video as well if you haven't already. And once again, I'm going to tell you about our contact information. You can find us at www.lssjacks.org. Here's our location information, and if you have any questions about our program or you're interested in joining our program, you can contact 904-730-8254. All right, guys, I'm going to thank you again. Have a great day.